May I name?
Not yet. Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll second. Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
is there action?
Yes. We'd like to add a journal entry today to dismiss a public employee for the solid waste district.
Is there a second?
Oh, sorry. Yes, second. Roll call.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes. And
Okay.
we have a
Is there
motion
any-
to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes. Thank you, Bill and Dawn.
All right.
Yep, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
Thank
thanks.
you. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bill, or I'm sorry, Jean, do we want to do Janet first?
Whatever is more convenient for you folks. I'm good with the
Okay.
move to the end.
Is yours okay, yeah. Is that okay? Let's
Yes,
go ahead and
absolutely.
do Janet while we have you here.
Mhm.
Sorry. So discussion item?
Yes, attached to your package, you should have
Mhm.
a document just discussing potential accommodations for employees with childcare issues this fall, because as we know, schools are reopening. But some schools are reopening for all day in-person classes, some are hybrid, and some would just be the online learning. So first, I will give credit where credit is due. Ottawa County actually created this a very similar document to this. So I just want to give credit to them because they actually they're the ones that really thought of the idea. But I just took the document and tweaked it to fit our county better. But on the document, you'll see that there are 3 scenarios for the, in regards to the schools reopening. And each scenario, there are options for the employee to take. Actually, the scenario A is obviously the school is open for 5 days a week. The child is expected to be at school for 5 days a week. So if the employee chooses to keep their child home on their own, then they would have the 3 options are listed right here. And actually all 3 options have the telework and the flexible work schedule involved. But actually for scenario A, they would, use their own personal time, either vacation, comp, or personal time to stay home with the child if they choose to keep the child home from school. The Family First Coronavirus Act, the sick leave is not available if they elect to keep the child home when the child is supposed to be at school. And the FFCRA is very clear on that. This is not available to them. Scenario B and C go into where there's the virtual learning for the students. So the scenario B is if the school is open part-time and then also have a hybrid working at home part-time. So that scenario is the mixed, where the child would go to school some days and then stay at home for their learning some days. So in this scenario, obviously the employee may have to stay home with the children, with the child or children on their days that they're doing virtual learning. During that time, they are able to either telework if possible, have the flexible work schedule, or they could take their paid leave. And they're also available for the Family First Act during the days that the child is doing the virtual learning only. Now you'll see that the word sick is in red ink underneath both B and C scenarios. This is an option for you to decide if you would want employees to be able to use sick leave during the days that they're doing the virtual learning. If they have to stay home with their child while the child is doing the virtual online classes. And then scenario C is obviously the schools are not opened in person. They are just doing the online learning. And again, the employee would have the 4 options, including the FFCRA. And the FFCRA is actually available to the employee for the entire schedule, because that is when the child is not at school. The child's at home learning. So the FFCRA is available to them if they still have time. Granted, if you remember back in the spring, effective April 1st, there were some employees, because schools were closed. There were some employees that used their FFCRA time. So if they used it up in the spring, and now they would get the 80 hours of sick leave, but also with childcare and the school issues, employees are also eligible for the FFCRA FMLA, which is the expanded FMLA that would cover just for childcare purposes. Again, this is only for the days that the child is doing virtual learning. It is not if the employee chooses to keep their child home for fear of COVID or for whatever other reason. So again, if the employee they happen to use all of their time in the spring, they know that they don't have any more FFCRA available. So they would have to be eligible before this and still have time available to them. It's not like they get another 80 hours because now fall's here. So depends on if they used all their time back in the spring or not. And again, there's an asterisk that talks about underneath the FFCRA leave, the employees are only paid 2/3 of their wage because it is for childcare. And again, if they would apply for the FFCRA, they would still be eligible to have the 3rd unpaid supplemented by their paid leave, just like they did back in the spring. So we are starting to get questions from students because schools are starting to open. I think next week, possibly. I think some schools
From students or from parents?
From parents, from employees that are, the employees that are starting to respond now and try to be proactive. Like, and actually, we just had an employee just ask about the hybrid. Their child's school is doing the hybrid schedule, and this employee worked with their department head to come up with a schedule. Actually, there's they're teleworking, but other time they're actually using the FFCRA because it's still available to them this fall. So we are starting to get questions from employees now as to what are my options for this fall? Because either my child's home Monday and Wednesday, or Monday through Friday,
So
or
some of the schools are allowing families to choose whether they want to stay home or not. So
Yeah.
how would that be
well,
factored in here?
That's under scenario A, isn't it?
now I was in scenario A. Now
Yeah.
you as the board can make your own decision up, but I would say if the school is giving the employee the option to either come to school or send their children to school or stay at home. I mean, I hate to say it, but if the employee chooses to stay home because they don't want their child going to school, then they should take their own time, either vacation, comp, or personal. I will just throw it out again. The board can choose if you want employees to use up their sick leave for when they choose to keep their kids home. But I will just send a quick warning out there that you will probably have some parents using their sick leave to stay home with their kids when their kids can be going to school. Just a quick, just a fair warning. But again, you guys can choose if you want employees to use sick time to stay home. If they don't want to send their kids to school and they can go to school, that's up to you.
I want to do I understand why parents might not want to send their kids to school right now. And if they had the option to, if it's optional based on the district, then, that's for a health reason, not because they're just choosing to keep their kids home. And we may have a scenario where the schools go back to remote, depending on how these models look. So Um,
And we're not telling employees they have to send their kids. I mean, employees still can choose because of
Yeah,
reason. So it's not like we're telling them you can't, but it's just if you do, if you either telework or you can somehow work with your department head to have a flexible work schedule or use your paid time, excluding sick leave. And then again, at the departments may, if they choose to, they could also have it be unpaid for the employee.
well, I think this is definitely a good thing to consider, because I was wondering about that, because I know some of the schools have already started back. And I mean, as someone that had kids in school, I mean, I would be really stressed out about having to make the choice to come to work or send my kids to school if I didn't feel comfortable sending them. I mean, Janet, do you have what is your overall feel for this? Obviously, you would be in support of something. Do you see any issues with it? Because I mean, I don't know how we couldn't have something in place with everything going on.
Right, yeah, and this document really was just to provide some options, because it is gonna be a hard decision for parents. And so
Well-
I think we just wanna give some options to the employees, like, you can't, there's options available to you, either telework or, perhaps they could work with the department on changing their schedule to fit their child's virtual learning needs. I do think it's important that we supply something. For the
so
employees.
option one, we already have. We already supply that.
Yes,
So the policy of the county, option one, all three scenarios, we are already providing to our employees.
yes,
Flexible work schedule. Would be a change, although I think there is authority for that under the current temporary emergency policy.
Telework, yes.
For the
For the,
directors.
for the flexible work schedule as well.
yeah, it would be up to the department, yes. So if a director feels that they could work with the employee and have a flexible work schedule, then yeah, I do think that would.
But I
fall-
just want to say, I think that is currently allowable under our policy. Like we do have employees whose shifts have fluctuated related to the pandemic. How does this change that?
It doesn't change it, it's just to clarify that the option's still out there for the employees.
Okay. So again, we're already, I just want to be clear, we have adopted policies. I mean, I'm glad Ottawa County is on board too, but we have adopted policies to help our employees deal with these difficult circumstances.
Yes. Yes,
Does this just break
Already.
it down?
This
Yeah.
kind of just frames it differently.
Yeah,
But I just want to credit, the Board of Commissioners in that we didn't just the last week of August say like, oh no, what are we doing for parents?
No.
We've been doing a lot
yes.
and we should continue. It's important, but
Yeah.
it wasn't just like Ottawa County came in and gave us
No,
the assist.
no, Ottawa County just created a form and one sheet of paper to show you the different scenarios. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's not like.
We're already doing option one and option two. Would you say that's correct, Janet?
Yes,
Okay. And so what we're really talking about here is option three.
mm-hmm.
yes. Option, yeah, because option 4 has already been there. So yes, option 3 is the one, yes.
Yeah, where they're online full-time.
For each of them. For each scenario, there's an option 3, and that's sort of the gray area right now.
Yes,
Right.
yes, option 3 is the gray. Option 3 is when the employee uses their own time to stay home with their child that's staying at home learning in their classes. The difference between A and B and C is that B and C, the school district is either not open off, or maybe they have reduced classes, whatever the reason is why schools are having a hybrid learning or online learning. Options B and C, the employee, and actually can already use their paid leave to stay home with their child. I just wanted to confirm that at least for B and C, that the board's okay with employees using their sick leave, which is okay. I mean, if the child is staying home because of the school district for either hybrid schedule or online full-time, the employee can use their paid leave, including sick leave, to stay home with that child for that day. Scenario A is if the employee themselves are electing to keep their kids home instead of sending them to school. What happens then? What kind of paid leave is the employee allowed to use for those days that they stay home, or they have their kids stay home?
I want to think about this a little bit. Two things. One, I feel like there's maybe a fourth, like a scenario D, where the school is open 5 days a week, but it is optional for parents. And these school districts seem to have made some remote learning optional for parents 5 days a week and teachers. So they are counting, and busing. So they are counting on the fact that some families are choosing remote to be able to operate with the social distancing and busing and having some of their teachers also are remote. So I don't want to, I guess I want to think through, it's not quite just that they're opting to keep their kids home. It's part of the district plan.
Their choices, yeah.
So that isn't quite reflected here in how the scenarios are laid out. I think that the drilling down, like your question here on the sick leave, I would be willing to entertain that. It's a little confusing to look at the chart when really that's what it boils to. That's the question. But I'd be interested in thinking about that and doing that. The only thing I want to make sure we do is that we're giving directors a little bit more say here, because it isn't quite clear that this is something that you'd have to work with your director on.
Yeah.
Like it says at the end, this is at the discretion of department head, elected official. Like, I don't want us to be getting involved in one employee, like in those issues that we may not know about. But I think directors are in the best position across the board to deal with. So maybe just strengthen that language a bit. And let's think about it over the next week. And why don't you, if there's a policy that you need, Janet, or just an update to one of the existing policies, like the leave policy that we have temporarily in place, we could do that there. Does that make sense, Sabrina?
Yeah, Janet, do you understand?
I do, yes.
Okay.
And I don't think we would need to hold that over then another week, because school's starting. So,
Yeah.
I think we're thinking about it now. We'll get it in the packet to look at and think about, and we could either pull it next week if we decide not to go that way, or vote on it
Mhm.
next week. So this is the discussion for next week, not for 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah, and in the meantime, though, it sounds like our policy, though, does give some leadway to the directors and to the employees to work with if something does come up for next week.
Yeah, it does.
And
Okay.
hopefully we're not in this sick conversation yet with employees. Like you said, you've had some discussion with employees, but like the one still had the FFCRA
Mhm.
leave available.
Yeah. yeah.
Okay. Okay. Man, that's
Okay.
tricky.
Yeah.
It's
So
very, yeah,
Thank you for,
very tough to deal with.
bringing
Yeah.
that to us.
Janet, do you have anything on your journal entries? Like the first one? Or any of them?
I would just say for the first one, without saying too much, I would just say that there were some concerns regarding the drug screen process.
Okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners agrees to rescind the recommendation to hire Stephen Wolf for the Regional Wastewater Superintendent position for Portage County Water Resources.
I'll second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes?
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to authorize the full-time hire of Richard Crumrig as Regional Wastewater Superintendent, replacing the position previously held by Christopher McCarron for the Portage County Water Resources. Anticipated start date is October 5th, 2020. The Board of Commissioners agree that this hire is contingent upon the application passing the required pre-employment testing.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners accepts the resignation of John Sturm, Engineering Technician 1, effective September 15th, 2020.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
And then before you read the posting for the water resources, you'll notice that there is a sentence that normally would be there because there is a hiring freeze. However, for right now, just for the purpose of discussion, and Gene could hop on if he wants to, that sentence, there's a strike through just for now, based on the board's decision if you will allow this posting to proceed or not. So before you
Okay.
read it, I just kind of wanted to say that. I don't know if Gene wants to.
There are 4 positions in this group in engineering inspection. One of the employees prior to Mr. Sturm's resignation has been out on FMLA. And from what we're hearing, that may extend for some time. The request is because now we're down to 50% and work is still going strong and we don't want to impact our contractors. So we respectfully request that the board approve us going through the process of internal posting and then advertisement if we don't have an internal.
Okay. So it sounds like you do need to post it at this time. Is that
Yes.
what I'm? Okay.
Absolutely.
The Board of Commissioners agrees to authorize a 7-day internal posting of the full-time Engineering Technician 1, replacing John Sturm from the Portage County Water Resources with external posting if no internal appointment is made.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners accepts the resignation of Isaiah Jones, Social Service Worker 3, Group Home, effective September 18th, 2020.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
And the Board of Commissioners agrees to authorize the 3-day internal posting of the full-time Social Service Worker 3, Group Home, replacing Isaiah Jones for the Portage County Jobs and Family Services with external posting if no internal appointment is made.
Did you want to say something, Janet?
I just want to say, again, this is, similar to the water resources, Kelly Jo had mentioned, again, with hiring freeze, Kelly Jo would not be requesting this position. However, just because, to help the group home meet.
Oh, yeah.
Accreditation.
She's
Good stuff.
in this position to be posted. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll second and roll call Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes. Thank you, Janet.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
I
We
like
have
your hair,
several-
Janet.
Sue Brannon and two others are waiting, Janet and Todd. So if you want to proceed with the,
Okay. We'll do your water resources at the end.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Jean. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. We are ready for you.
I'm gonna say I'm real short. I only have one today, and it's our regular transfer from the child welfare levy to public assistance. This is the reconciliation payment for second quarter 2020 and the first payment for third quarter 2020 in the amount of $140,000.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to transfer $140,000 from Fund 1415 Child Welfare Special Levy Fund to Fund 1410 Public Assistant Fund.
I will second. Roll call Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sue.
very much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Good. Joanne?
I am here.
Morning, Joanne.
Good morning, y'all.
We're ready for you.
Great. The first resolution I have is a change order on behalf of the county engineer. During the roofing replacement project, they found some bad panels that had needed to be replaced. So this is a change order to increase the contract, and then it'll be the final closeout. The total change was $3,697 to the contractor.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to accept the contract change order number 1 and final the construction agreement between the Board of Portage County Commissioners and Boak and Sons, Inc. for the roof replacement project at the Portage County Engineers Central Facility.
Second. Roll call Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
All righty, next resolution is entering into the 4D contract for child support enforcement with the clerk of courts. And this is, the unit pricing is per each filing that they do for Job and Family Services. And this is for the new contract term, July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2021.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an agreement between the Portage County Child Support Enforcement Agency and Portage County Clerk of Courts Domestic Division.
Second. Roll call Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is the same kind of 4D contract. This, however, is with the juvenile court, and it's for magistrate services, which is an hourly unit at $314.19 per hour when they need that service. Again, for the new year, July 2020 through June 2021.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an agreement between the Portage County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Portage County Juvenile Court Magistrate Services.
Second. Roll call Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
All right. Number 4 is the same 4D contract. This is for the prosecutor's investigative support. Their unit cost is $49.75 per hour when they're doing investigative services for Job and Family, again, for the new time period, July 2020 through June 2021.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an agreement between the Portage County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Portage County Prosecutors IVD Investigative Support Division.
Second, roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay. Number 5 is an amendment number 1 to an agreement with Job and Family Services and Family and Community Services for their early intervention services that they provide. This is for children, toddlers, and so forth through the age of 2 and their families. I believe that there were some outstanding invoices yet to pay, so they needed to increase through June of 30/30 the amount.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to enter into an amendment number 1 between the Portage County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Portage County Jobs and Family Services and Family and Community Services, Inc. to provide early intervention service coordination.
Second, roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay, and lastly, we took bids on August 12th for biosolids disposal for the Department of Water Resources. We got one bid that met all the qualifications and bid specifications from countywide landfill. And we want to be able to award the bid for 3 years to them. First year is $41.60 per wet ton. Second year, $42.84 per wet ton. Third year, $44.13 per wet ton.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners agrees to accept and award the bid for biosolids disposal for the Department of Water Resources.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
You too.
Are you there, Todd?
Yes,
Okay. Like we got the star
You ready?
thing worked out this week.
yeah, that first week it happened. Even if you pushed it, it was still telling you had to push it, but the last
Oh,
couple weeks
really?
it's been happening. Yeah, that was the test for that week.
I think
You would
it's the
push start.
operator.
it would tell you to-
Todd, we have your 2021 budget discussion up first.
Mhm.
And I'm reviewed your memo. And to start the 2021 budget discussion, I wanted to discuss considering keeping next year's budget the same as the 2020 budget based on the continued uncertainty with the pandemic effect on our county revenue. There, of course, will need to be exceptions for items that require changes, such as any ordered changes that we have, anything that's in a collective bargaining agreement that increases payroll costs, and any other modifications that will be necessitated by changes in revenue. But I think a status quo position is a sound way to move forward. And I think it would be a good idea if you and the county administrator, Jean, like you have been doing with the CARES group issue, if you would meet with all of our elected officials and department directors, expressing this desire to maintain the status quo until a better understanding of our revenue situation develops. So those are my thoughts as we commence this next year's budget discussion. And then I think the draft budget document should include all expense changes highlighted for review by us. And And I think that following the 2020 budgets, we stand the best chance of maintaining the county's financial position until the revenue projections stabilize. So those are my thoughts based on your memo, and also just looking forward to the somewhat uncertain future that we're facing.
The question I have is if that's what we're going to consider, if we're leaving the budget the same as last year, Kathleen, we have a hiring freeze within our departments. Is that going to continue to be the case then?
I think it should. And
To give us some leeway,
and we deal with it on a, like we have been, on a case by
case by case. Okay.
decision.
Todd, do you have anything?
Have been working to date. I know it's a tough position to put everyone in, but it seems like we've been weathering it so far.
Just for clarity for Todd and I think that's a good comment relative to the freeze, but we would leave the money budgeted for the employees. We just wouldn't fill the position. So the budgets would be unchanged, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if the impact is not as bad as anticipated, then at least the money's there. We wouldn't have to add anything else.
Good.
Yeah.
Especially
Now
if we
what-
lose.
Yeah.
Lose that revenue. That would be a
Planned.
place for saving.
And then what about the planned capital expenses? I know we had stuff in the budget before for them, and we just never did anything with them at the time. Where would that leave us at for some of those projects then? We would just put those on hold.
My understanding from Todd is that was pulled back probably 2 years ago or so. And when it was pulled back, I think it needs to be refreshed and brought back as part of the budget. That would be my recommendation.
I think too, as you're meeting with departments and elected officials, that's a good time to check in on these different things that are listed, and then parts from that past plan, and just get a sense, so we can kind of work group that process as well, and update our knowledge of some of the priorities. I'm sure they have shifted.
Yeah, because I'm looking here at the Pretty Glen Dam. I mean, those figures were from going on 4 years ago at least. So we would need to update, but again, we had money set aside for that, and I guess with Todd saying, is that money then going to be pulled into the 0001, which I'm assuming is the general fund, the basic general line for 0001, since if that project's delayed.
Todd and I've talked
Yeah.
about this. We're really in the beginning of the Streetsboro wastewater treatment plant upgrades. And if we borrow money, that WRSP grant money would
Yeah.
be eligible. I've talked to the EPA when this, right, 3-4 years ago, relative to this very issue. And they were very happy to allow us to sponsor Portage County commissioners for the project down there. So I think that's still in flux, and I wouldn't necessarily defer to Todd, but wouldn't necessarily want to pull that money back into
Yeah.
until we have a commitment. But we're probably definitely in 2021, we're going to know where the funding stands for
Mhm.
Streetsboro. So next year we would be able to determine whether that 2021 is WRSP or it's going to have to be 100% local. But equally, there are other capital projects that didn't get funding that maybe could use that or a portion of that Penny Hill Dam funding. So I do think we need to reach out to the, I forget the name of the firm. I'll get with Joanne and get an update on where they think that budget number needs to be also. So.
Todd, did you have any questions? I know you had a list of questions here. Are we answering all your concerns here?
Well, number one, you did not. Are we saying that we're just going to move those people into the general fund?
For the sales tax that ends at the end of the year.
Right.
Yes, I don't know what else you would do there.
For the annex building, is the intention to leave it vacant with no rent?
Is it completely empty now, Todd?
Yes.
I think that that is a discussion when you are meeting with Joanne and talking about county property and rents.
The capital improvements, yeah.
Right, that's when that
Conversation.
discussion occurs.
What,
And
Same with the record
guess-
center, same with the motor pool. Airport is a separate issue that Jean, I know we've charged you with looking into that, and I know we have items on our agenda today to discuss. And then vehicle replacements. I think that's again, a departmental issue as well. As it was last year too. I mean, that seems like a department by department
Yeah,
enterprise versus purchase.
Yeah.
Is that good, or do you need more, Todd?
And then Todd, we answered for number 3. And number 4 and number 5 should be answered. Is that correct? I think we lost him.
No, I'm here. That's fine.
Am I correct in saying that then, Todd? Do you have any questions on those 3, 4, or 5?
No. No.
Okay.
On the wage increases, I think it's early to discuss that. I think we mentioned the collective bargaining issue where we may need to budget. I think we'll have to evaluate this in December. It will be a tough year to be looking at increases, but maybe something that we can consider is as our revenues, as we have a clearer picture and the revenue situation stabilizes, maybe we could look at doing something year 2021. And that's something that we could discuss in December, but foreshadowing now that as a hiring freeze is in place, I don't know that there's going to be a place for us to do
An increase.
for our non-collective bargaining employees. And especially with collective bargaining too, I know we're looking to try to status quo those where we can, just because of the potential financial uncertainties. So that's that I feel like is looking at this, do you need anything more, Todd, or do you feel like you have some direction from the board now that we've charged you with meeting with every department and elected official?
So is the intention for those meetings to take the place of putting out a proposed budget? Are we still putting out, what is your thought going forward?
I think that the drafted budget should come after those meetings. And you would highlight for us any changes over 2020 for us to discuss those individually.
So normally we would put out proposed, then they would come in and meet, and then you guys would debate changes. So is the intention that these meetings and discussions will take us into November where the final is prepared? Or are you wanting these meetings, then a proposed, then further meetings, then the final?
I think the meetings, the proposed, and then we'll be figuring out where we are. I mean, we'll need time between the proposed and passage to go over any potential problem areas with departments and amongst ourselves.
Yeah, I think this is, Todd, I think it's still very fluid because this is like uncharted territory for us, and we sort of have to play it by ear to see what the impact's
And
gonna
that's
be.
I'm trying to establish the schedule. So if you want,
Yeah.
are you wanting the proposed by like October?
Well, normally we would have the proposed by September, correct?
Yeah, usually mid to early September that goes out. I mean, it doesn't matter.
And then in
I'm just trying
October,
to establish.
schedule for
timeline here.
revisions.
Well, if we're
I can meet
doing the
with Jean.
status quo budget from 2020, the proposed budget is the 2020 budget.
Budget, so that's easy part. We're not changing anything, Todd, for the proposed budget, so really, you could get that out in September.
So then I'm
That's
confused.
what you're
Will the
going
meeting-
out to departments with.
Uh-huh,
And I think that,
So we just agree that as we meet. Whatever you guys want, we'll do. I'm just trying to get what you're saying.
I
So
would,
take the
and
proposed
if I could,
budget.
go ahead, Tom.
We're taking last year's budget as the proposed budget while we're meeting with them.
yes.
yes,
I think that's what makes sense.
I would send that out to them again with a message we'll craft and basically say, this is our starting point.
mhm.
And changes have to be defended.
Yeah, and that's what they normally do in October.
Right, so we've got a pretty big window to go meet with everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that the meeting, rather than bringing them up in front of us and like this is like a more of a conversation type of year. And I think the individual meetings, and they should probably be virtual meetings. I assume that's what you did with the CARES group with a lot of them. Is that right, Jean?
100%. I know that Ryan and I had no on-site meetings. I
Okay.
do believe maybe Todd and Joanne had a couple because they're right here, but.
Yeah, they're in the
Or
building.
Todd. Yeah.
Okay.
I take that back. We did have one with the sheriff. The
Okay.
video was playing back in my head.
Yeah, that would have been impressive to carry that out virtually. Yeah, does that? You good, Todd?
Yeah.
And we'll work, you and Jean will work to craft that message, and we have a little bit of time to get that out. So you're not pulling an all-nighter on Labor Day weekend or anything. Because that's no fun. So can we move on to the airport discussion?
Mhm.
Okay. So the airport funding request. It seems to me
They're gonna
that,
be needing another almost 30,000.
There's just one thing I would point out, and I've been talking with Todd, seems like this is something that doesn't have a lot of options for us, but the accounts receivable shows a 12 CARES Act grant. And when you look at number 12, it's been applied for. And of course, this document is a little aged, but it's submitted for approval, but we still don't know whether are going to receive the 30,000, which will offset. They may be back again, is the point I'm trying to point out. But again, even at that, I don't think there's a lot of option for the board here.
Yeah, and that's why we need to take on this task force to figure out what we're gonna do with the airport. Cause it's just bleeding money. I mean, and I have to give them credit. I've been involved with this since I've been back in office, and you know, they do the best they can with a shoestring budget, but they're not getting ahead, and in reality, they're not even maintaining at this budget that they're at. And it's time that we need to really consider what we're gonna do. I did talk to Curtis at AMATS to see, he's checking to see if there's any federal funding where we can have, you know, like a consult to take a look at the airport and the potential of the airport as it would stand. And so, I'll follow up with him today. I talked to him last Friday to see.
yeah.
I did receive your email, Commissioner Bennett, and
Yeah,
we will get the group together. Waiting for Homer to respond back. Well,
yeah.
works on his schedule.
He emailed me late last night and he said he's also not only trying to coordinate our schedule, but some
Right.
of his board members' schedule. So yeah, because it's been about a year since I've been out there. And like I said, I know nothing's been improved because they have no money. So I'm interested to see what it looks like now, a year later.
So it seems like we need to approve this. We don't really have much
Choice.
And the bigger issue is being worked on.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Todd, so you'll bring something back to us next week to approve the funding request? Is that?
How do you want, is this just a straight gift to them? Is it incorporated in the loan? What are your intentions?
Todd, how did we do the fuel tanks?
That was added on to the loan.
Okay,
We can do that. I mean, we can add
yeah,
this on to then. And we can do that next week.
yeah.
Yeah, generally we have Chris take that to their board. I'm not sure when they meet next, but it'll come at the next opportunity.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you. So we're on to your standard bill run resolutions. Todd, I haven't looked at my email.
I haven't either. Todd, was there anything in the bill run?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners agrees to approve the Thursday, August 27th, 2020 bills, ACH payments as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
I'll second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners agrees to approve the Thursday, August 27th, 2020 wire transfers for health benefits as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners agrees to approve the Thursday, August 27th, 2020 journal vouchers as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners agrees to approve the Thursday, August 27th, 2020 then and now certification as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management.
Second. Roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks,
Bye.
Todd. All right. You do have a few items, I believe, Jean.
I have water resource items. First one is the
Yeah.
Streetsboro wastewater treatment plant dryers. I think 2 weeks ago, I gave you an update on the process and we were still waiting for what we thought was going to be a longer time period. So I apologize doing this twice. But it did come in the week after we discussed the issue. We have two ideals behind this. One is roughly $2.6 million to replace the entire system. We do not recommend that. The second one is to replace the trough in the existing system and some minor repairs relative to that, which is just under 100,000. It's 99,220. So we need, I believe, because of the freight on top of that is going to take us over the 100,000. We need to declare this an emergency. The sooner we can get this moving, the sooner we're going to be off of hauling our what's called Class B wet biosolids to a landfill, and you just approved it in the $40 to $50 range per ton. So we're looking at a pretty good hefty bill every month. Based on how much biosolids is produced at the plant, my knee jerk is $30,000 to $50,000 a month, just what we're expecting to have to pay in this entire process. So our recommendation is to do the emergency repair at 99,220, and then the additional, we don't believe any one of them will exceed 50, is the coating, the specialty welding, and the contractor to do the take the top off and put it back on, which is a local contractor working at this
Dean,
point.
how long has this dryer been down? Because hasn't it been a while? Was it?
It has been. If you remember, there was chunks of metal that was coming out in the pelletized dry biosolids, which is a Class A, and they were finding pieces of metal. They took the dryer offline and found where think of it as a piece of steel that warped due to the heat, and then the paddle turns and rips it off. And you're looking at 50 horsepower motors, so tearing through 3/8 steel is not something that would be a big problem for it. So the bottom line is we don't have a major choice. The reason we're not recommending the total replacement is based solely on the fact that we want to look at options. We're at a bit of a crossroads. The equipment is probably maybe not the ideal one. We should have what's called parallel train. Right now we have one single dryer. If it goes down, we're in the predicament of hauling biosolids. It's wet and very expensive, where if we can develop a process to maybe keep this one running and build a parallel system to dry, that's a better spend from our perspective. We at least have a backup. It may be considerably smaller and it may run around the clock 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which will require staffing changes, but I believe that's a better methodology for us long-term than to put all our eggs in one basket and then watch the basket break. So.
Okay,
I think
so
that makes sense.
do you have something for us today? Or are you gonna bring something back for this?
There's a journal entry for our,
Oh, I see it.
Oh.
Okay. It's right there.
I missed that too.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion. The Board of Commissioners authorizes the Portage County Water Resources Department to proceed with the Streetsboro wastewater treatment plant emergency repair to biosolids dryer, accepting the proposed provided by, is it Conlon Sanderson, in the amount of $99,220, and to add to said amount the cost of freight to the Streetsboro, Ohio facility.
Second, roll call, Amy.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes. All right, on to our county administrator.
and I'm sorry, there's a lot of it on this time. The King, a couple of them are real brief. The King Kennedy update, the plans have been received by the King Kennedy contractor. He's in the process of reviewing them. And I've talked with our building department. They've done a review and at this point are prepared to do a partial release of the building permit. I think there's some discussion back and forth between the building department and Eric Hummel from Hummel Construction, the contractor. More to follow as Eric gives us the final number. We did have a very good meeting with Lakeside Sand and Gravel last Friday. Hiked around the site. The ball's back in Water Resources Court to develop a site closure, in essence, plan, a restoration plan to remove the roads and all the things that they're using on our property. We talked at some length and there's a good understanding between the parties, and we'll have to come back with an update for the board to consider for a future license that may extend for more than 10 years. We'd like to get this done right this time. Not that it was done wrong the first time, it's just, I don't know how you end up with a 10-year unless there's something legally that says we can't go past that. The next is the pending airport grant. There's a grant for what's called the clear zone. Trees grow up into the flight path, and that needs to be done. According to John True, it's pretty much on a 5-year rotation. Right now, I believe the airport has sent it to Chris. Chris signed off as I think the attorney of record for the airport. And I believe it's in your mailbox, Commissioner Clyde.
Yeah, I have an email. Is the only way to sign it electronically?
That's correct.
Okay.
And you go on, you sign it, and then it should go back to Chris, who will sign it and close it. Then we'll get a paper copy of it. My
Okay, I'll do
recommendation
that
is
when we're done here.
we need to do that. So
And I'll email you to let you know I've done it.
thank you.
Yes.
The next item, number 4, is the Water Resource Collective Bargaining Agreement extension. I apologize. This was sent to you late yesterday. All this is a standard extension of the current contract as we continue to negotiate. There have been good meetings already. I think this afternoon is our 5th meeting. We had an introductory meeting, and now we're using Ring Central with a mediator who moves us out into caucus rooms and back, and it's pretty seamless. Matter of fact, there's a lot of, from the mediator, a lot of people saying to him, look, we'd rather do this than collectively meet in a location. So that may be the future of collective bargaining agreements. Pretty easy. It's like Zoom. You can put a document up and everybody see it.
So Jean, what is the sticking point with this contract that we're doing an extension versus a new agreement?
2 pieces. One, there was not enough time because of COVID and getting everything lined up. If we'd all met in one room, we probably could have gotten a lot further along. We took 2 approaches. The first one, wait a minute, I better back up and think about this. I really shouldn't discuss this because of the non-disclosure requirements, but the bottom line is it's moving forward. One of the things the parties agreed to is not to discuss the outcome. So as we progress through it until we're done.
Okay.
And how long's the extension for?
It's indefinite because I think last
Yeah.
time we did this, when I was involved in 2017, we came back twice with extensions, each time moving the ball forward. In a large portion, in all honesty, I think this is fair to convey, there are a large number of people attending and we got to fit everybody's schedule. And so when we close today, I think we have a 2-week hiatus before we go back at it in order to get the mediator and the attorneys and everybody on the same schedule, so.
Yeah, because it looks like it's indefinitely, but it says that either party can terminate with a 30-day notice.
And that language is because if we don't reach agreement, we would have to terminate. So we don't believe we'll get there though.
Okay, I actually didn't see the resolution when I read the email. Now I do. So I'm fine with that.
Now, there's an agreement that was also attached to the email. As a matter of past practice, that agreement would be executed by the union, sent to us, and then we'll bring it to you to execute. But I believe the resolution holds us where we need to be between now and when that occurs. So I think.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a motion that the Board of Commissioners extend the collective bargaining agreement between the Portage County Board of Commissioners and the Teamsters Local Union number 436 concerning employees in the Department of Water Resources.
Second, roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Dean, did you need a journal entry for the airport?
Yes, I believe there was one in that package. Yes.
Let me find that.
Are you talking about for the 28,000 that they're requesting?
No, it's the grant, the one that I have to
Oh,
sign.
for the grant that you need to sign, yeah.
Yeah, we have an email. It's in the email from Jean at 6:59 this morning. Are you okay if I go ahead and read that, Sabrina?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Move that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the Board President, Kathleen Clyde, to verify that the Portage County Board of Commissioners has the authority to execute the grant agreement POV-GLG-39-0099-030-2020 on behalf of the board.
Okay, I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen,
Yes,
Sabrina,
Yes.
thank you.
And although I don't see my peers from the work group, the last issue is the CARES update. Good news, the State of Ohio Controlling Board released another 175 million statewide. When you do all the math, if they follow the same process, which they're reporting they're doing, we should be in the neighborhood of 900,000 additional CARES funding for the county, plus the subdivisions get additional on top of that. That's an approximate till we actually see it. I would want to defer to that. But at this point, our total identified uses, and we've not heard from everybody yet, all right, I need to stress that, is 3 million, just $3 million. So, and that doesn't take into account the $412,610 that between Todd, Joanne, and Ryan are now programmed into the EMA public assistance grant, which would be us to pay out of the CARES fund if it wasn't part of the public assistance grant. So that's a good thing. What we did was divide the identified uses into 3 tiers, and I believe I provided that to you. The first one we believe fits completely fundable, PPE, plexiglass for social separation. Those are clearly within the realm of the CARES Act. And that's at 1.5 million, 1.6 million of those kinds of things, and a few additional items in there that are labor. The second one are things that we truly believe will fit. but were in our mind, things that were programmed, and we were gonna spend money, but now we've repurposed our staff. So the 900,000 should cover a large portion of that, if not all of it. And that currently stands at 1,167,000. And then we had a few things that came in that I think if in the event we get additional funds, I would definitely support using the money for that, those additional tier 3 items. But we need to maybe look at those on an individual case by case basis, as whether we agree that they would truly hold an audit muster. So that's where we stand with the total. The CARES group have worked diligently. Matter of fact, these numbers were updated by Joanne late yesterday, which is one of the reasons it was out to you. But if you, the spreadsheet that was presented includes all the items that have come to our attention. In some cases, you'll see zeros. It's because it is approved for that department, but it's actually paid for like with IT. Instead of listing laptops in 20 places, we put them in as a group in IT. Those are the kind of things that if you work with it a little bit, you're going to see it. This will continue to be dynamic. From my understanding, there's still more money that could come to the local government. If that's the case, I think from what I read, there has to be some changes by the state legislature and approved by the governor to allow the controlling board the authority to disperse those funds. So this is still a moving target.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, Gene, there's still 325 million earmarked for local governments, but not allocated. So this next allocation, certainly helpful, but there's still a big chunk at the state, and there's talk of legislation of extending the deadline. So, you know, we'll keep that in the back of your mind as we're planning.
Definitely.
That money is.
But I think the extension has to come from the US Treasury.
Yeah, it has.
They're the
to.
ones that put the dates on it. Yeah.
Got it.
I'm sure that the state would be more than happy to extend, but that's, I think, outside their purview for now. Yeah.
Okay.
The last one I heard was the end of March. That was the last date that was floated around that I was able to find, but again, that's not official.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Jean,
Yes,
don't forget, we need that letter today for the 2021 water pollution control loan application. We
Yes.
received an email from Mary Helen
and
that we need to sign the letter. They need it by tomorrow.
I'll
I'll
make
be
sure.
in to sign. Kathleen, do you care if they use your stamp, or I don't know if you'll be in?
I'll be in to sign later on,
Okay,
so it should be ready in the
Yeah.
morning.
and just, I'll make sure I pick it up and deliver it, or we'll get it over there somehow.
okay,
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
good. Thanks.
Sabrina,
Okay.
did we move the minutes? I don't think
Nope,
we
I'm
did.
gonna do that next.
Great.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners approves the August 20th, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Second, roll call. Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes,
Kathleen,
Yes.
is there anything else? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second. Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes,
Kathleen.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
all right,
Rest of
thanks.
the day.
Bye.